Okay. You can't hear that.
Hear that?
Hey, no, we're going to bring her to the
Man,
stage.
what's
Okay.
wrong?
There she is.
Hey,
How are you, Miss
Ladies
Richardson?
and gentlemen.
I am good. How are you guys today?
We are
Wonderful.
well. We are
Yeah.
wonderful. We are wonderful. Here we are again, the real team, bringing a real perspective to college students and parents throughout their experience of the college experience. There's a whole lot of experiences going on, and we're here to highlight, as we do every single week, just the nuances and just shed light and bring joy and just thought process these to those who join in on what we do here at the Real World University. It's Mia Ferguson with my co-host Andy Brown, and we have a special guest today.
Yes, we
Miss
do.
Miss Arnel Richardson is here from Enriched
Yeah.
Consulting, and I'm so excited because Andy, I have to give you how I met Arnel.
Please
Yeah.
tell the intro, shall you?
So I will do that. So Andy Arnell knows that I have been very adamant about joining all of my alumni associations. So obviously Morgan was one of them. My sorority was another one. My high school was another one. So I saw Arnell and her husband at the Morgan Alumni Suite for the Celebration Bowl that we attended in December.
Okay.
And spirits connected, and we were just, I think we joined in on the same conversation.
Hmm.
Come to find out, her husband graduated from high school with my best friend. Her face, when I
Congratulations.
got a chance to hone in on it, I was like, I know your face. She graduated from my high school.
Yeah.
And obviously, she is a wonderful alumni member of the National Treasure, Morgan State University. So I just
Yeah.
had to say that because that is how the conversation started. So no surprise that Arnell is here to join us to discuss all of the wonderful things she does. When I said, I need you to come on to our podcast, The Real World University, this is what we do. And she was like, absolutely. So that's how we have Arnell here in the place.
Well, that's all right. Shout
Yes,
That's
out,
yes,
Arnell. I love the
yes.
hair. I
hey.
love everything that you're
Thank
doing. I
you.
love the background. It
Thank you.
symbolizes just your own culture, your own vibe, your own style. And I'm
Thank you.
assuming it's may not always be best to assume, but I'm assuming that that's what we're going to get from you today on this particular podcast. Your art,
Yes.
your style, your definition, what everything means, and how things relate to you, what you do in this world, and how you bring that to full life. Can we talk about that today?
Absolutely.
Let's talk
Absolutely.
about it. Let's talk about
Well,
it. Let's talk
let's
about it.
get down to it. So, the first thing I want to ask you, Arnell, is how did your college experience shape the path that you're on today? Well, just kind of give us a little bit of intro about you and then answer
Okay.
that question for me if you can.
Okay. Well, of course, my name is Arnel Richardson. I'm a native of Baltimore City, born and raised, graduated from the best high school in the city of Baltimore,
Yeah.
Western High School. Um, I also
Hmm.
attended Morgan State University, the National Treasure. And for me, my college experience was non traditional. So I grew up in a broken family.
Hmm.
And so my grandmother pretty much raised myself and my siblings, and I was the oldest. When I guess you would say like maybe early 90s, late 80s, crack epidemic hit West
Mm,
Baltimore,
Okay.
and it affected my family. So
got it.
my parents split, they were married, they split, and we had to go stay with my grandmother.
Hmm.
So college for me was very non-traditional because I was first generation college student. I had absolutely no guidance, no
Mm,
help filling out an application, filling out a form, visiting a college campus. And a lot of my college, for me, my inspiration to want to go to college came from Western, because Mia,
yeah,
they were not, we were on
yeah,
it. It was college
yeah.
preparatory, so you're
It was a
going
college
somewhere.
preparatory school. Yep.
So even for students like me who didn't have that family support, I was able to, still get that support from school, from counselors and
Hmm.
teachers who saw something in me. Um, I decided that I was going to go to Morgan, probably at the end of my senior year. I was close with one of the counselors at Western, and she recommended me to apply for Morgan. She also recommended me to apply for the stay in school program with Social Security Administration, which I
Mm,
did. And I was able to get that position and work the summer before I went to Morgan. Um, and my husband is my high school sweetheart, so we've been together since like junior year,
All
going into our
right.
junior year. Um, so at that time, he was going through a similar situation. It was just that time, when all things were just going
Going
haywire.
to Baltimore. Yeah.
And we were connected, and then we ended up deciding, okay, hey, we're going to do this. So at 18, right after I graduated from Western and he graduated from Poly, we moved, got our own place. Didn't know how we were going to make it happen. Didn't know what we were doing, let
Yeah.
alone when I was 18. So after a year, we welcomed our first daughter. So I was a commuter college student at
Okay.
Morgan, and I worked part time, and I was also a young mother.
Mhm.
Mm.
So it was very encouraging. It was very important to me to stay in school, because I knew I had a greater goal. I knew no one in my family had ever graduated. So I've always, been like, I'm going to make this happen, whatever that takes.
Right.
And I did. I graduated from Morgan in 5 years. When I graduated in 2000, I had just gave birth to our second daughter. So it was a lot going on, but I
Family
persevered,
affair.
I pushed through, I still continued, to finish that journey. My grandmother passed shortly at, like, I think it was my first year at Morgan. She
Mm.
passed, and she used to babysit for us when I had night classes. So my husband and I, we would have to, work out schedule where I would maybe take some day classes. He may do night classes. I worked in the evening. He worked during the day. So we kind of had to, it was just different. So we
Yeah, to
would
make
come on
it work.
campus. We would attend like some of the basketball games, the athletic games. I remember those ones. We always went to the Cop and Morgan game. So with certain things like that, we did
Wait,
to
the
stay
what
connected.
game?
Cop
Cop
and
and
Morgan.
Morgan,
Coppin State.
Morgan Cop, yeah,
Yes.
Cop State.
Okay. The accent threw me for a minute. I was like, Captain
Oh,
Oh,
Morgan.
sorry.
stop it.
What was that? Rum after? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so that was something that we always did. I had a lot of friends that also went to Coppin State. So, and we did some college stuff, but I feel like we grew up, my husband and I, we grew up like really, really fast. So we
Mhm.
didn't really get that living on campus feel. But we did stay connected to a lot of the people that we went to college with. I was a business major in accounting, so accounting major. So I came out of there with lifelong friends that we still communicate to this day. Can't wait to see each other when we get back for homecoming. And then a couple of them, I've worked with their students, with my
Yep.
consulting business, to help them go through this process. But that's the gist of like I guess I would say my non-traditional college experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yep.
That
Well,
is
so
that
you're a
that's
different world from
awesome
where you
because
come from, huh?
yeah, I mean, but to know what she's accomplished, we'll get to that. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the proof is literally in the pudding. You
Yep.
wrapped it up so well, in just helping people to see that everyone's path is different, right? I was a commuter student too. I wasn't a
Mhm.
parent, but it
Right.
was just that I'm a second generation Morgan student, but
Yeah.
my experiences started way before I got to Morgan with Morgan, right?
Yes.
And so it's just always wonderful to hear the how you got here and what you got out of it story. And then we're going to get more into it. And I'm go ahead and put it back on to you.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing a lot of this. I mean, like I said, it's truly the college experience, the HBCU experience. It's truly a different world from where you
Yeah.
started. That's
Yeah.
a gradual process, and I'm pretty sure there was a lot of hills to climb, a lot of rough things to go through,
Yeah.
and ultimately, the two of you being together, there's a journey that you're agreeing to walk upon together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where were you
Yeah.
looking to go? Did you say at an early age, even in accounting, to get to a position to help others? Like where does that come from?
I don't know. Because it's definitely from within.
Hmm.
And also when we were in college, so when we moved and we got our apartment, we moved out Ricerstown. So we weren't close
Oh
to
wow,
Morgan.
you
We
were
were
close.
on,
Yeah.
we had to, hop on 695, come all the way around to the east side. So it was it was a distance. So, of course there were days that if we had snow, if we had rain, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to class today. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so it was challenges,
Yeah.
some days trying to make sure we got there, got the work done. Of course, we didn't have all the technology tools that we have now. You literally had to be in the classroom to receive the
Right.
information.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
So
definitely.
you didn't have that option. But when we moved out into Ricerstown, there was a shaved ice snowball stand that we used to visit right on Ricerstown Road.
Mhm.
And we would go there, and it was an older white gentleman, nice guy. He owned it, and it was at a car wash. So we was talking to him about this, like, how long have you been doing this business? And he told us that he'd been doing it for like 10 years. He had retired, and this was just something that he loved to do. And he talked to me and my husband, and me and my husband decided, you know what, we need to get a shaved ice stand. This thing makes money. We can do this over the summer. We can do this, but at least in Maryland, we could do it from like May, April,
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
September, when they shut down. And he told us how to do it. And we used our refund checks from Morgan
Come on,
and we
checks.
purchased a shaved ice. And my husband's grandfather, he could build stuff, so he built us a shed. We had our first snowball stand on Ricerstown Road in Menlo, where the old Giant used to be in
Mm-hmm.
West Baltimore. We used to be in that shopping center, and we did snowballs through the summer. We were in there like all day, but we made good money. And then
Mhm.
we end up branching out. We end up having a second stomach snowball stand over East Baltimore. So we had two. So then I had to be at one. My husband had to be at another. So our siblings would help out. And we were doing this, and we were like 20, 21, 19, 18.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship has always, I feel like, been in our blood or been an interest of ours. But I don't know. I think it's just within. I can't even explain
Yeah.
it because things that, and then relationships that we built with people, came in and just kind of helped us. The man didn't have to show us how to do it. He told us
Mhm.
what
Right.
his business were, where
He
he wanted
planted
it
a seed.
Yeah.
from, and all of that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we followed. We did that for the years that we were in college.
He planted a seed. That is awesome. I heard you
Yes,
mention, guidance counselors, and
yes,
people in different spaces. You mentioned this gentleman, who just planted that seed about
yep.
the snowball stand. What role? And I think I already know the answer, but just to ask it to be very clear, what role did those mentors, those people who just along the way, who guided you, gave you a seed, a little
Mhm.
bit here outside of your entrepreneurial space? What role did those people really play, in your, and where you see where you have, for what you have accomplished up to date?
Yeah.
Yes, I think they instilled hard work, work ethic. I think they definitely instilled perseverance. No matter what your situation is, you can get through it.
Mhm.
Because all of them at some point in time came into our life for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'll give a story about one of my professors from Morgan, actually, Dr. Wright. He was my
Dr. Wright.
he was my
Okay.
That must be a
he was
famous
my
name there.
he was out, he was an accounting professor, so
Uh-huh.
and he taught tax. I took him for a couple of courses. Um, but he actually, it was in my final year at Morgan, and he came across a real estate investment that he brought to
Mm.
myself and my husband. So my husband was also a business major, so he knew Dr. Wright too. So he had to take those basic classes that you need for College of Business. And he actually brought us our first real estate deal. He had a friend.
Really?
Yep, he had a friend who
Wow.
owned
That's super cool.
I think the friend mom, she owned two properties next door to each other, and they were duplexes, and she
Mhm.
was losing them. And so the mom wanted to get rid of one of them. So we were able to purchase one off of her for just paying her liens, taxes, and
Oh,
all of that.
Wow.
wow.
So we were able to do that. We didn't, and I think it ended up costing us around that time. It may have been like $40,000. We didn't have any money. We resourced, we found people, we found a hard money lender, and we were able to make that deal happen.
I
My
love it.
one of my close friends is her sister is a realtor. And so we tapped into her, and we were able to purchase the property. And that was our
Look at
first
that.
investment property that we purchased. And that came from a professor at Morgan. And it was just, I don't know. He just like, I don't know. I know you guys are in the business. He's like, this might be an opportunity you might want to get into. He was like, this is the time where you could get a property for way below market value. Just take a look at it. And we did. And we actually purchased it.
That is fantastic.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing. Dr. Manu and Dr. Bogosian were
Oh,
my
Dr. Manu.
Dr. Manu Bogosian and Dr. Cooper were my three that I got to tap into regularly even after I graduated, and they really helped
Yes.
me with a lot of different things. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
You were just through. You don't even know how you are speaking to what the real is here for, to just give this true, honest background to people, for them to understand that none of us had a roadmap. Some of us didn't really even understand what planning looked like. Not everybody came from the same space, but we got here. And our goal is to be able to share with our viewers what getting here looks like, and the fact that it looks different every which way you go, right?
Absolutely.
So if we could tailspin, because we're I'm not rushing, but I'm so excited to get to what you do now, because
Okay.
Very cool.
we hear background in business, we hear real estate, we haven't even gotten to the end because they do it all, right? This is
Okay.
couldn't understand
what I'm hearing.
But look, I was trying to figure out, do I bring both of them at the same time? And I was like, no, I think they both do so many different things. We need to do one and the other, because we had a whole conversation, Arnel, about how of sweethearts, right? So if you could give any advice to a college student right now with all that you know and where you're in, we'll get to where you were, what would it be?
The number one thing would be, you have to tackle that time management.
Oh,
A lot of times I think when students go to college, they don't realize, like, it's truly a different world. It's nothing like high school. High school is preparing you, but it's a whole different animal. So time management is what I see a lot is the issue. I had issues with time management going into college, because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I realized real quickly, you miss a certain number of classes, you in trouble. You know what I mean? So like, these are the things that I would tell students right from the beginning. You know, make your schedule conducive to how you work. If you are a morning person, schedule morning classes. If you get up in the afternoon, you're going to have afternoon and evening classes. You know, sometimes you'll hear people say, you need to get your classes in early in the morning, no matter what. No, it depends on the individual. It depends on the person and how they work.
I was a 2 day a week girl. I was Tuesday and Thursday. That's when you're going to see me, Tuesday and Thursday.
Get them all stacked together. Like, whatever you do to make that schedule work, be okay with that, you know, and understand who you are and know what it is that you want, because sometimes you can't take advice, especially from, a lot of times we're taking advice from other college students and they don't know what they're doing either.
Say it again. Wait a minute. Say that part again, please. The village don't know, and you listening to them, but you're not listening to all the other people around you who really do know.
Come on now. You said that right there.
So I definitely think number one definitely would be time management. Also, it would be concentrating on building those relationships early. I know for me, I did build some relationships when I was at Morgan, but I was so busy. You know, I couldn't really be at every event on campus. I couldn't really get involved in the campus life like I wanted to. You know, I couldn't hold a position because I had a baby. You know, I had to go home. I had to work. I had to, you know, I had things I had to do. So for those students who have that flexibility and are able to get involved, you know, even with our own children, all of them, we have two girls and a boy. And
let Andy know how all of your children are in. I think she has one more that's about to graduate.
He's about to graduate, and I think he'll be finished. He should be finished in December. He was trying to come out in May, but you know how they have the one course that only offered in the fall and all of that, and he did not plan. He didn't plan, so he may have to go back for one class in the fall. But yeah, so he's at Tennessee State University, very involved in the campus life. He was Mr. Freshman his first year, a part of the student ambassadors. He pledged Kappa. He worked for the Alumni Association there on campus. Just very, very involved. So he's been able to live the campus life. He lives on campus. I didn't let any of my children move off campus. Y'all can live on campus.
Okay.
They like campus apartments, but they are campus. They're on campus.
Right.
So none of them moved off campus. My oldest one, she went to Alabama A&M, and she graduated, and she has a degree in urban planning and regional development, and she also has a master's in civil engineering and building sustainable smart cities. So right now she's an urban planner. She has she works with an independent company, and she's doing amazing. And she was very involved in college as well. She was a bowler, actually. She bowled on the bowling team.
Oh, nice.
And
I did too.
So she stayed busy, you know. And then our middle daughter, she graduated from Alabama State. So we got a house divided. But she graduated from Alabama State, and she was actually SGA president her senior year at Alabama State. So all of them, she graduated in 2022. So 2021, 2022 was her administration.
Right
And
on.
it was
Okay.
the first time, I think, in, I don't know, she may have been the second or third female president of the SGA, but they haven't had one in like many, many years. She made a lot of change there. She did a lot of great things there. And all of them were very involved, but we instilled that in them early. So even in high school, they were involved. So they were able to get to do the things in college that I wasn't. So it's just amazing being able to watch
And I'm
and watch
sitting here
them grow.
smiling like this young girl, straight out of high school, found her life partner. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
husband or boyfriend, I'm saying life partner.
Yes.
Only in a true partnership can you accomplish these types of things.
I agree
And
with
that
that.
is
Yeah.
something very, 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 very important for people to understand because we don't look at that in life right now as we should,
Correct.
right? But not only did you all finish, but your
Yeah.
children have gone on to do the things that not only you wanted to. And I want to ask this question because you gave your advice, but
Right.
from a student's point of view, but then I want you to give your advice. Like, what advice would you give to parents
Mm.
that
Okay.
are in the space that come from what you came from and
Mhm.
have, and with all the things that you've accomplished? Like, mom, dad, listen, take a breather. You're doing something right. Like, what would your advice be?
My advice to them would be, if you don't know, ask for help. I
Come
found
on.
that a lot of parents, they don't know, and they don't know what they don't know.
Come
But
on.
it's too many resources out here. We have Google. Back when I went to school, there was no Google. If you didn't find it in a book or somebody told you, there was no way for you to find out about it. So in this day and age, there's no reason to say you didn't know.
You didn't
So
Mhm,
know.
you just
mhm.
need to find out where those resources are and talk to these people. Social media is huge for that. Parents, get into those groups, parent groups. There's a lot of groups out there that's for parents who have children in college or children aspiring to go to college. Also, don't listen again to people who don't know what they're talking about. You have a lot of parents who think, oh, my child will never be able to go to college. I can't afford it. I don't have a savings plan. I don't have this. I don't have that. There are ways for your child to go to college.
Mhm.
We just have to find where those resources are. And they can go whether you have money or you don't have money.
Yeah.
So just really just getting the information that they need. And if they don't have it, they don't have the time, find somebody who can help you. A lot of decisions and things are being made, and they're just being made on the fly. And also, parents, it's okay to say no to your kids. It's okay. And I don't have that problem, I think, because I had to. It was survival. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there was no, if we don't do this, we got somewhere to go back to. That was no, that wasn't going to happen. So we had to make things happen. So it's okay to say no. If where they want to go to school, they haven't done what they needed to do to get there, and it's overly expensive, that may not be an option. Let's regroup. Let's think about that. I do talk to a lot of parents who cannot say no to their kids. They are
Mhm,
willing to go into enormous amounts of debt to pay for college. And it's
Ooh,
mhm.
crazy to
that
me
part.
because
So
they just want their child to have this experience. you
So
know.
I think this is a great way of rolling into what Arnel does currently with Enriched Consulting LLC. This is such
Please
a
do.
wonderful, just see how it just segues properly, right? Like no one knows, but I just love it. This is just making me, I've been looking forward to this all week. So now
Yes.
if you could let us know what
Mhm.
Enriched Consulting does for its clients.
Yes, so I am a higher education consultant, and I work with families to assist them through the college admissions process from start to finish. So, from building their college list all the way till they sign their housing documents and they move on to campus. So, everything in between: financial aid, scholarships, applications, Common App, Common Black App, essays, supplemental essays, honors programs, all student resume, brag sheet, everything that they need so that they can be successful and competitive on the next level. I have
Gotcha.
programs for ninth through 12th grade. So I like to start with ninth grade because that's where it starts. We need to make sure that they're prepared. And if they have a goal at that age and say, hey, I want to go such and such school, then we're going to know what it's going to take. You're going to know that in
Mhm.
ninth grade. That way we don't get to the 12th grade and then you're disappointed because it didn't pan out, but you didn't do
Yeah.
your part. So we need to be very transparent with these students about where they are and how they need to get there. So helping them build a plan. But with my seniors, just everything from start to finish. And where the parents don't have to worry whether or not applications are being submitted on time? Are there students doing these essays? Are they applying for scholarships and things like that? So pretty much a coach guide. I guide them through. My goal is not for them to just get to college, but I want them to stay there and graduate.
Right.
And next year actually will be my first class that I started working with that'll actually be graduating from college. So I'm super excited about that. They're
Right.
they're
Congratulations.
running into their senior year. And I still hear from
Very
those
cool.
students today. You know, I reach out to them, I check on them, see how they're doing. Because my goal, like I said, I want them to, you know, continue on and succeed, not just
That
get in.
that is amazing. I
One
think
thing
it's no secret. It's no secret how you got there.
No, I'm enjoying the information and learning more about what you do and how impactful you are in your community. For
Mhm.
those who don't know, we're just not tuning in. We have a very talented and outstanding young lady, Miss Arnel Richardson, the CEO of Enrich Consulting. Let me ask you this question: when people go to your site and they reach out to you, what is the
Mhm.
most common question that you often hear somebody ask about your business and your services?
Scholarships.
Okay.
Scholarships are number one. How can I pay for this? We need help. How can I position my student to receive scholarship dollars?
Hmm.
So what one of my goals is, like I said, I assess all of my students, their academic profile. They'll come to me with a list of schools that they're interested in. We'll kind of
Mhm.
comb through it, and then I may throw some schools on there that also fit, you know, what they're looking for, but they may not know about that school. And then we start kind of looking at their list. We start looking to see, okay, if I want to go to Morgan State, what does my SAT score or my ACT score need to be, and my GPA need to be so that I can qualify for institutional funds? Because you want to get those institutional dollars first, because those are the big dollars. If you can get full tuition, all right, now we can figure out how we can pay for room and board. Or can we get
Hmm.
a full ride? What do I need to get a full ride? You know, what does that look like? And Morgan is one of those schools where they don't post that information.
Nope.
So, and it's based on the applicant pool each year.
Hmm.
However, there are other schools like Alabama State that it's clear. If you do not have this, you do not have that, then we don't know what to tell you. You won't
Hmm.
qualify for scholarship. So, you know,
Okay.
FAMU is another one that's like that. FAMU is not test optional. You know, you have to submit a test score to be admitted, not just for scholarships, but to even be admitted. So
Okay.
those kind of things are what we kind of go over. And all of my students, I do require them to take the ACT and the SAT. You do get students that say, well, it's optional, not for Enrich Consulting clients. It's not optional. We're doing it. So,
Right.
so you know, because we want to make sure that they're in a good position. You know,
Setting them
sometimes
up for success.
when if the advisor is looking at your application, that may be the one thing that take you over, and that's important too with their essays. So the main question is, how am I going to pay for it? Where do I
Hmm.
get this money from?
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that we got to do to
To get
prepare so that you are eligible to get
for
to
the
the money.
money. That makes
Right.
sense. That makes sense. So Arno, so I'm imagining that you've developed relationships, whether it be with some high school counselors and some college advisors.
Yes.
And I know it might be too soon to ask this question, but now that certain things with regards to funding distribution have come down the pipeline, what has been sounding the alarm with folks? Is it, what am I going to do because we can't, or what other options are there because we can? Like, what has been the number one thing you've been hearing from, whether it's counselors,
Mm-hmm.
advisors, I guess both sides of the,
Aaron.
like,
Mm-hmm.
parents? Yeah, yeah. What has that been looking
So
like?
it's funny you asked that because I literally just got a call on Tuesday. So from one of my
Mm.
students, he's actually one of my students that'll be in the first graduating class from college that I've worked with. His mom called me. He's at North Carolina A&T,
Okay,
but you know they were concerned is with this thing that
we don't know.
you know they're
Hmm.
concerned. So some
Yeah.
things got cut, or they were thinking about cutting it. So it's one particular program that a lot of my students can apply for if they're majoring in a specific major, and it's the USDA 1890 land grant.
Okay, okay.
So that they had webinars set up for it last week, and then one in February. Both of them were canceled. They were canceled before the after his announcement. Then they were put back on, and then they were canceled the day of. So parents are concerned about that. So I have parents right now whose students are applying for that who are current seniors, and they're like, "Well, what's going to happen if this money don't come down the if this money don't come through?" Well, what's going to happen is we have to be heavy on applying for scholarships. I mean, that's all it is to it. That's the only other option, or you're going to be paying. So,
Interesting.
Mhm. Mhm.
and some families, they're like, they don't want to pay for college. They're going to do whatever they have to do to pay for it. But now that we're having these challenges, it's making them now understand the importance of their students
Planning.
applying for scholarships and
Yeah.
planning.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I let them know that's why we can't bank on any of this. That's why we have
Mhm.
to consistently apply. You can't say, well, I'm only going to apply for the 1890. Hopefully I'll get picked for that. And then if I get picked for that, then I'm good. But if you did nothing else and then that don't come through, now what?
Right.
Because
Good point.
the
Do you
school doesn't
emphasize
care.
grants?
I said it again. I'm
Do you
sorry.
emphasize grants as well, along with scholarship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Arnel, I'm sure another part of what you keep your finger on the pulse too is, and I'm asking this question because I had a meeting with someone who has done a lot of work in the community, and he's looking for how can he affect and support some other changes that need to be made. And one of my suggestions that my business partner and I made were, let's get a little bit more involved in understanding how the federal government and how they're supposed to, based on, and this is not anything that was new, but let me not say the federal government, let's say the state level, right, is they have schools that are suffering because they haven't managed to supply them with what they're already supposed to receive, right? So your son is at
Right.
Tennessee, so we know what that looks like, okay? um
Absolutely.
how much do how much of the pulse when it comes to legislation, regulations, not even talking about the grants and the scholarships, but
Right.
just what the schools are going through, because I'm sure that number has a lot to do with what they're accepting and how they're lenient because they need to get bodies in that are
Yeah.
tuition paying students so they can
Yes.
get their bottom line. So what does that look like when you're having your conversation with folks?
Mhm.
So I'm actually a part of the SACAC, which is here in Georgia, and it's the Southern Association of College Administrators and Counselors.
Hmm.
And they actually have a policy committee. So I am a part of those meetings and those groups, and we're actually like right now advocating for equal access for state grant money for students in the state of Georgia. So you know how
Powerful.
in Maryland they have the
That's dope.
guaranteed access grant. There's state dollars that are specific to students who are in need. If you fit within a certain poverty level or your income requirements, Georgia
Hmm.
does not offer any aid like that. Need based aid is need
I have
based
a
aid.
whole
Okay.
reason.
So
I didn't know that.
yes. So they don't have any need-based aid. So right now, that's one of the things that people in my role and people in higher education and teachers and counselors are advocating for. So I try to stay connected as much as I can to the policies because that affects my business. And then
Right.
I'm able to take that information back to my families and my parents and say, okay, this is what it's looking like. This is how we need to navigate it.
Got you.
So that's the main thing. I know that like I said, I know for Georgia, that policy is one of the biggest things.
That's
And so to
awesome.
stay
That's
connected.
awesome that you even take it to that space of just staying aware because
Easy source of
I
information.
yeah, but being a good source of information, because one of the
Yeah,
things we laugh about on here a lot is that people go to YouTube University and next thing you know they swear they have a PhD in something they
they
don't even know how to
expert.
pronounce, right? They experts, and
Right.
but sir, you watch a 23-minute video and now you're an expert. I think not.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
not.
Yep.
So what's your reach with regards to, obviously I hear you say in North Carolina, I hear you say Morgan, I hear you say Florida, but your client base, is it mostly students who are in Georgia and they just go in other spaces, or do you have clients that are in Maryland and Georgia
Yep.
and North Carolina? Okay. So how do you
Yep.
communicate with them? Is it webinar,
Yep.
newsletter? Like how do they?
So we meet. So virtual meetings is is how we meet. Almost 100% of my business is from referral. I
Okay.
had
Mm,
students, and so
awesome.
every year my group is a little bit different. So like this year I have students from Texas. I have some students from Maryland, of course. I actually only have 4 from Georgia this year, and I'm working with 24 seniors this year. But I also have some ninth grade, 10th grade, and 11th graders. They're in, like I said, Texas. They're in Oklahoma this year. I
Oh,
got someone from Oklahoma from a referral.
Right.
really?
Philadelphia, Connecticut. Um, they're all over right now. Like I said, it's about
Wow, okay.
10 states, but every year is different. Like last year, I had students that were in the state of Florida. I had some that were in South Carolina, North Carolina. So it just changes. DC, I got a student that's in DC. So it's yeah, so it always changes, but I am able to work with them no matter where they're located. And a lot of my students are interested not just in HBCUs, but PWIs as well.
That's a question I
My
was going
goal
to
is my goal is for them to get to the school that is going to reward them for their hard work. Of course, I'm pro HBCU.
Right.
So I do make sure that all of my students do apply for HBCUs, even if they tell me that they don't even want to go to an HBCU. And
Just
I
in
tell
case.
them, okay, let's still apply, because you never know. Because where one school may not give you a dime, another school may give you a full ride. And I just want you to see those options. And at the
Right.
day, that's your choice to make. But I just want you to see what that looks like. Because at the end of the day, college is a business. They want paying tuition customers.
Right.
Students.
Right.
They just do. They don't want to give all the money away, free money. So, but
Arnel
yeah.
Richardson.
Um,
Listen,
Great.
I knew that I was going to be so excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do like for you to tell everyone where to find you with your own voice. So just give all your plugs. Give all your plugs at this moment right here.
Okay, well, I am online. My website, of course, is www.richlyeducated.com. Same name on Instagram at Richly Educated. And then on LinkedIn, I am Arnel Richardson.
Arnel
Very
Richardson,
cool.
thank you so very much. We are excited to take this year to highlight all of our wonderful HBCU graduates. I didn't mention Andy graduated from Grambling. Shout out to Grambling.
Big Grambling State University.
The Grambling State. I'm sorry, the Grambling State.
Oh, I'm sorry. Get it right.
So I would like for you, I have a little homework for you. I would like for you, and it doesn't have to be right now, to recommend to us others that you know who are doing the work. They are in business. They graduated from our schools. They have work that they're doing in the community that they just want to get the voice out to. We are here to highlight those people. There's a lot of work being done with the real, and this is very, very important to us. So again, we thank you so much for joining us on this here Sunday.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And we look forward. I don't think this is going to be the last time you hear from us, Arnel, because you said a couple of things that I know we need to tap into.
Yes, it's so much. It's so much in it. And so I'm here. I just appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Thank you
Brother
so much.
Brown.
It's been great.
It's been great. The real team is out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.